While my disclaimer's on screen, I would just like to say a big thank you to Stardisk. He helped finish editing this video. Hey everyone, it's Alex and welcome back to another video, and today I'm once again continuing the idea I had a while ago. This is the final episode of this initial set. Glad you guys have been enjoying these, and I plan to make more in the future. However, these do take a lot out of me to make, and I need at least a week and a half to make them, so they won't be frequent. That's partially why I've been doing them now, since Sonic Generations is fairly easy for me to edit. However, when I do go back to making these, it will not be every other week, definitely like I'm doing now. Trust me, on the surface, I act like making these episodes is an easy task, but a lot happens behind the scenes to make these things happen. Almost as much work as my regular reviews even. And these take a lot more time to do because I have to break down the basics and provide a lot more visuals than I would normally. Because in my reviews, I would just slap gameplay footage in front of it and call it good, but that doesn't really work here. Especially the Metroid video, that one was really hard. Speaking of, nobody guessed at all what this episode would be in that video. And in the last video, Stardisk guessed Crash Bandicoot. Sorry man, but I haven't really played the newer Crash games, so I can't comment on them. Unless you count the Insane Trilogy. You probably saw the title, so you could deduce that the episode is about the blue blur, Sonic the Hedgehog. This series is infamous for having super low lows, and it's the whole reason that it's a mixed bag for me. There are some great games in this series, and some garbage. We'll be looking at each kind of game in this video. And at the end, I'll take a more in-depth look at Sonic Generations and 06. In fact, that's where most of the gameplay will be coming from. It'll be coming from my playthrough of those games. Generations the most recent one. Any other footage will most likely come from Wildcard, so go check that channel out. Before we get into gameplay, I want to talk about the 3 eras of Sonic. I'm referring to the 3 eras that were shown in Generations. I won't necessarily be mentioning every Sonic game from each era, but I will be mentioning the mainline ones. I'll also give my opinions on each era, and even sometimes some of the games. Maybe tweak the games included, as I feel Generations got it wrong on one specific game. The first era is the Genesis era. This era includes Sonic 1, 2, CD, 3, and Knuckles. This is where Sonic got his start. While I think some of the 3D games are more fun, I respect and enjoy all of these games. Except for Sonic 1. Not really a huge fan of Sonic 1. The core mechanic of Sonic that sets him apart from other platformers is momentum. In Sonic 1, you could only jump and roll by pressing down. You could use momentum to gain speed and create a flow through the level, and sometimes it can be a nuisance to gain speed. They fixed this in Sonic 2 with the introduction of the spin dash, which allowed you to gain speed instantly so the flow wasn't broken up for no reason. Higher paths are more speedy and are used to reward good players. Lower paths are slower and more enemy-filled to punish worse players, although I don't think punished is the right term for that. However, this is really only true in the first level of Sonic 1. Sonic 1 has a ton of bullcrap that can kill your momentum or just kill you. Sonic 2 and onward made this few and far between, and the trickery platforming has its own sections distinct from the speedways. This is how every era distinct from this one will structure it for the most part. Up next is the Dreamcast Era, also known as the Adventure Era. This era is home to Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow, and Sonic 06. I put Sonic 06 here because later games of the modern era feel completely different from 06, and 06 feels more like the adventure titles. The Adventure Era was a time of innovation. I mentioned the geek critique in my Metroid video, and I'm going to mention it again here. He called this era the era of blind innovation, and I honestly couldn't agree more. They just pushed forward without a second thought. That was good for the adventure games, but that's also why Shadow and Heroes are the way they are. They wanted to improve Sonic in new ways, and both failed. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate these games I'm about to talk about, I just don't like them much. Sonic Heroes wanted to adapt the adventure formula into a 3-in-1 format and failed spectacularly. It made both me and Stardisk look back on it with annoyance. Plus, to get to the ending, you have to do the exact same levels 4 times. Shadow wanted to appeal to the trends, and on top of that, it had too many endings and flaws that bogged it down. Progression is tied to morality, and to get that morality, you have to kill specific enemies or just ignore everything. The geek critique compared to the Star Fox, except he said it was way worse, and I can agree. Because on top of having to do tedious garbage to get the morality path that you want, I'm not referring to Star Fox here, you have to also get each path and ending to 100% the game, which makes sense. And there are 2 endings per path. However, they're tied to a single playthrough, so you have to start all the way from the start It looks boring, and I can't believe I have to 100% this game on stream eventually. On the flip side, the adventure titles are clean and simple Sonic gameplay, unless you choose one of the other gameplay styles, which I'm not going to talk about that, really, honestly. Just know that 06 is kind of the same, except we're way more broken and bad. These games also introduced new moves that became staples of the series: rail grinding and the homing attack. Rail grinding allows you to build at speed and allows for some tricky platforming. The homing attack happens when you press the jump button near an enemy. You immediately home in on them and hit them. The devs added this to replicate the flow of jumping on heads of enemies in 2D. The story focus in all these games, except for Heroes, is defining, and I like most of the stories, whether that be ironic or otherwise. The only two exceptions are 06 and Heroes, and I'll get into 06 later, trust me. Finally, the modern era, the biggest era of the three. This includes Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, Sonic Lost World, Sonic Mania, and Sonic Forces. This era is the most diverse, and yet the formula is mostly the same. Unleashed was the start of the boost formula, where by defeating enemies and collecting rings, you can build up a meter that allows you to gain insane speed and plow through things. These games perfected flow, and the boost just helps to accentuate that. If you want more boost, you need to be good at the game. The ranking system returns from the adventure era, and the level design flips between 2D and 3D, making room for some cool platforming. Some people say that this is redundant, but I disagree, and I'll explain later. The level design overall is more similar to the classic levels, where more skilled players can get more natural and smoother routes, whereas worse players are punished, although again, I don't think that's the right word, with slower areas. Sonic's moveset is also the most diverse out of any other game styles. You have the stomp to break things below you, a slide to replicate the effect of rolling in the 2D games, a drift to build boost and go around sharp turns, rail grinding and jumping that returns from the adventure era, just in a better state, and of course the homing attack. The only games that don't follow this style at all are Sonic Mania and Lost World. Lost World came out first. I only have the crappy 3DS version, and I can't record that in decent quality, so enjoy some crisp Wii U footage from this person in the corner. At least where I can use it, you know? They basically made Mario Galaxy, but worse. Normally, in literally every Sonic game, as I mentioned before, you would build up momentum and run that way. In the classic games, you could hit blistering speeds because of this, and the same way in the 3D games, but now you have the boost to help you instead of the spin dash. That's always been the case. So Lost World decides to do away with that in favor of a run button! Between that and the not so great level design, it's already a wreck. However, they also got rid of the boost in favor for the spin dash, and tweaked Sonic's moveset drastically. For starters, they made the homing attack a multi-hit move, which is fine, but they also added in the double jump from Colors, and that caused a lot of problems. Between that and the wonky level design, Sonic will most often than not homing attack instead of double jump, or double jump instead of homing attack. They also added this kick move that's needed for some enemies, and it's just dumb. However, they did add this really neat parkour mechanic, and I'm kind of sad that we'll probably never see it again. Second is Sonic Mania. This was basically just a fan game that Sega published. This is a love letter to all things classic Sonic. There are a bunch of classic stages, as well as a few new ones. Plus, there's a new drop dash move that I love, and it's a single reason why it's my favorite classic Sonic game. Plus, Mighty and Ray were nice DLC. I absolutely love Mania, despite what my old playthrough says. And if you're looking to get into the classic Sonic games, I would start with Mania. Finally, let's talk about the boost games. Sonic Unleashed, I won't talk about the daytime gameplay much, because I just described it. Wait, there's daytime? What's nighttime? What's the difference? Well, my friends, you turn into a werehog, a werewolf hedgehog, and it's a semi-slow hack and slash level. You get stretchy arms, and there's a skill tree to get more upgrades. I actually don't mind this at all. I love games like Medieval and Dynasty Warriors. While I think it's strange, I don't hate it. You also have to explore to collect the Sun and Moon medallions to get upgrades and other stuff. That's honestly my only gripe with the game. I even play the Wii version, and the motion controls aren't all that bad. Although I still recommend a classic controller if you're going to go that route, preferably a Pro. Colors is pretty much the same, but you gain a full boost gauge by collecting Wisps. The Wisps also give you special abilities like a power-up, and like I said, they added the double jump. But I only found it useful if I barely missed a jump. Sonic Colors is pretty cool in my book, and the music for everything is amazing. Also, I'm going to skip Generations for now, just like I did with 06, as I want to talk about the best mainline game to supposedly the worst mainline game. Notice how I said supposedly. I want to talk about Sonic Forces. Remember Other M? Remember how I said I much prefer a game like 06 that's laughably bad than a boring one? Well, that's Forces. A boring one. I got it for Christmas the year it came out. and I had the Switch version. Before that Christmas, I only had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for my Switch, because I had saved up enough money to buy one with minimal income as a 15-year-old. After I ran out of money, my parents would only buy me one game, which I thought was more than fair at the time, and I still agree with. I decided to forsake Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey for this game on Christmas, and I beat it in 3 hours. No joke. If you don't know, there was a running joke outside the Sonic community that all you have to do is hold forward and win in Sonic games. Sonic Forces proved that, and proved that that was true. It's super easy, and on top of that, the boost is way too generous. The bosses are pushovers, and they waste chaos from Sonic Adventure. Finally, I don't talk about the story much in Sonic games, even in the more story-oriented ones. However, this story is trash. Not 06 trash, but Other M trash. I urge you, go buy this game and give it a play, if only to crap on it. I wish that I had a picture of this, but I found a copy of this game in a bargain bin at Best Buy for $10. $10 freaking dollars. Please, if you don't buy it, watch someone play it all the way through. I want you to see how dumb this is, but not in a good way. Finally, let's talk about the 2 games that prove to me that this series isn't all bad. Sonic Generations and Sonic 06. Let's end on a high note. Starting with 06, the game is a disgusting, broken, buggy dumpster fire of a game, but that's what made it so good. The reason I got sick of this game by the end of my series was because I lost sight of why I loved the game in the first place. That, and it was around that time that my capture card started its slow descent into breaking. Anyway, Sonic 06 is about a love triangle between Amy, Sonic, and the human princess Elise, and how many times Eggman captures her, and Shadow working for Gun, and a destroyed future brought on by an ancient prophecy about a god being split into 2. Now, Elise is already bad enough, but the game is trying to be realistic. This is because the devs wanted to bring Sonic in the real world when it came to their vision of this game. However, this means that the style is all off. Plus, momentum is wonky, you're way too sensitive. Collision works when it wants to, and finally, the bands that you have to get are buggy as all hell. I mean, with one of them you can just fly infinitely. This game is a game that is not supposed to be played seriously. I was playing it seriously at the end, and I suffered for it. But this game is a dumpster fire worth experiencing if you are into ironic humor. Now it's time for a legitimately amazing Sonic game. Sonic Generations. This game did what Sonic Mania did, but did it first. They brought back classic Sonic. And that's why some people thought that the 2D sections of this game were redundant. And because they brought him back, this is the first time that we actually saw a distinction between the two. But unlike Forces, the speed and momentum isn't broken for classic Sonic. He plays exactly like he did in the Genesis games, but the spin dash is mapped to a button and it's super powerful. Each zone features an act for both modern and classic Sonic, with classic being Act 1, and plays like the Genesis games with some new mechanics, and modern is just a boost formula. This game features levels from the 3 eras, and the levels are different between the console and 3DS version. 3DS version is also all in 2D instead of classic Sonic being all 2D, and then modern being a mix of both. Although it's more like 2.5D. Before we move on to the 3DS version, and what I think about it, I want to point out the fact that the console version has way more iconic zones and better gameplay. I'm honestly curious if the 3DS game is actually worth getting. But from what little gameplay I saw to fill this video with some of the boss footage, it doesn't look good. I get the Xbox 360 version or PS3 version if you have any brain cells left. And if you've been watching me and started to play it and it looks good, then I would get it. It's fairly cheap on Amazon, but if consoles aren't your style, they do have a Steam version that has mod support and like workshops and stuff. But you do need a fairly good PC to run it. I couldn't run it on my old laptops, so keep that in mind. But I would still recommend you go check it out anyways. But that's it. My incoherent ramblings about Sonic the Hedgehog. This series was really fun to make, but I doubt I'll be able to make another one for a while. I have reviews on hold, and I finally want to be able to finish them. I also have some stuff on hold for Wildcard, that channel that Stardisk and I share. Like that Spire video I mentioned a while ago. I'm glad I made this series, but I'd be lying if I said I'm happy I don't have to stress over one of these every 2 weeks. Thank you guys for showing so much support to these videos, and I'll have more scripted stuff like this in the future. If you want to quench that thirst, check out the previous episodes in this series. I'll make a playlist when this episode goes live. If you already have, then I'll link one of my reviews in the end card for you to check out. That's all I got, and I guess I'll see you guys next time.
Game over. Continue.